vision statement for Arlington is this: Arlington will be a diverse and inclusive world-class urban community with secure, attractive residential and commercial neighborhoods where people unite to form a caring, learning, participating, sustainable community in which each person is important. Good morning. My name is James Victor. I'm the pastor of the Mount Olive Baptist Church here in Arlington, Virginia.
Hello, my name is Allison Surya, and I'm from El Salvador. I moved to the United States when I was 8 years old.
Hi, I'm Andrew Merrow. I serve at St. Mary's Episcopal Church in Arlington.
I'm Rebecca Tierney. I'm a resident of Culpeper Garden, and I have been in Arlington most of my adult life.
When I came to Arlington, Virginia, I completely fell in love with the community because it's very diverse, and I loved my teachers. I loved the education that I was getting.
We are a part of the Arlington View community, historically African-American community that was developed in the aftermath of the forced relocation for the construction of the Pentagon.
Good morning, I'm Vanessa Coleman. I am an assistant teacher working with special ed students. I'm really happy to be there and I enjoy my job. I grew up in Arlington. I lived on Halls Hill all my life. I lived on Halls Hill, as I said, there was a wall that segregated us from the whites and the blacks. And it still is there now, part of it.
My parents had moved here 4 years before me, and they worked in restaurants. But then my mother started working for an elderly home in Arlington, the Jefferson. Once we were growing up, she just realized that she could transfer her credits from back home so that she could go into what she had studied for, which was education. And she loves early childhood education, so she went into Arlington Public Schools, starting from being a kitchen employee to extended A, and then eventually she got a Montessori position where she is now.
St. Mary's is located in a very affluent part of Arlington County, but affordable housing is something that affects all of us.
We actually moved around about 10 times during my elementary, middle, and high school years because of rent prices. When we lived in one place, we would move to another one because the prices would go up. Then we would move again and again and again. I was about to go into high school, and my home school was Wakefield, but I really wanted to go into the IB program. So I decided that I would apply to Washington Lee High School. Unfortunately, that year, I was placed in the waiting list. My mom actually decided that we would move out of Arlington. The prices were too high, and we just couldn't stay living here. But then I got the acceptance letter in the mail during that summer while we lived in Falls Church that I had been accepted into Washington Lee High School. And my mom, she decided to come back into Arlington.
I was the daughter of an itinerant minister. We went from place to place, starting churches in the Shenandoah Valley. I got my degree in political science and decided, like many people in this area, that Washington, D.C. needed me, and I'm going to set the world on fire. I had friends that I had made in the Shirlington house where I had lived. I came back to help my friend take care of her aging mother. When her mother passed away, my children and I stayed in that house down on 2nd Street South, and we were there until all of a sudden I retired, and I looked around and I was alone in that house. I was able to come to Culpeper Garden 4 years ago, and instead of being the end of my life, it has become the continuation of my life.
Looking back at it, there's been so many things that I've been able to do in Arlington that I wouldn't be able to do elsewhere. During my 10th grade year at Washington Lee, I competed in a business competition, and I was able to go into the international level which had never been done by any Arlington student before. That made me value my education even more and value my community even more.
I think that as we continue to grapple with rapidly changing circumstances, Arlington has a proud history. And I think that it's wonderful to be a part of that. I think it's important to build on that, because even in Arlington, we have lost thousands upon thousands of affordable housing units.
It's important for me to stay in Arlington because I lived here all my life. I grew up here. This is where my roots are. I love Arlington.
And right now, the criterion of economics, money, is the only factor that seems to be determining who's going to be living in Arlington in 10 years.
My husband and I pay $1,600 a month for rent, which leaves us very little bit of money. That's 60% of our income.
Rents are escalating in Arlington. The affordable housing supply is shrinking, and many of our members are being forced out of the community to other locales, which really jeopardizes the future of our congregation.
I think that people who work in Arlington ought to have the opportunity to live in Arlington. I want them to be my neighbors. I don't want them to live 40 miles away. I want them to live right up the street. And as we work for affordable housing, that's one piece of making that happen.
I grew up in an area in Kentucky where I went to church with my teachers and with people who were entrepreneurs, people who worked in hospitals, and my life is enriched because of that diversity. If we extract that from Arlington, then we have a very privileged class of kids that are growing up that will never experience what it really means to live in a pluralistic society.
Even though we are very diverse, if we keep losing the affordable housing at the rate that we're losing it right now, Arlington's not going to be that diverse.
Time to act is now, because the window is closing and our opportunity is limited.
I have given a lot, and I'm going to continue to give a lot. We don't want to be pushed out, moved out. We want to be here. We want to be planted here where our roots are.
We wouldn't be here if it weren't for affordable housing.
The soul of Arlington is maintaining that diverse presence of people, not only ethnically, but a broad swath in the economic strata of the county.